Right, so it includes the medical center located on 1638 Owen Drive. It also includes a 112-bed long-term acute care hospital facility located on Robeson Street, as well as a 67,000 square foot, 32-bed behavioral health care facility. Again, it's pretty much comprehensively the entire health system that was originally refinanced with the 2008 bonds that we're seeking to refinance today.
These bonds are already being relet, you just refinancing these bonds?
That's correct. That's correct.
So these projects are already underway or finished?
These projects are already in existence, and we are refinancing the debt that originally financed the bonds.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any other questions? With that, I will open the public hearing. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
And there are no speakers.
I will close the public hearing. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for the hospital for coming and being here today. You don't have to stay, though, if you don't want to. All right, thank you. Items of business, consideration of the adoption of the 2018 Board of Commissioners regular meeting dates
Yes, sir.
that was sent to you prior to.
Included in your packet is a listing of the Board of Commissioners' regular meeting dates that our clerk to the board has assembled. There are a couple of exceptions. The first meeting in January has been moved to Tuesday, January the 2nd, because of the New Year's Day holiday. The second meeting in January has been moved to Tuesday, January 16th, because of the observing Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The first meeting in March has been canceled because the NACO Legislative Goals Conference will be held March 3rd through 7th in Washington, D.C. The first meeting in April has been moved, as we normally do, to Tuesday, April 3rd because of Easter Monday. And the first meeting in September will be on Tuesday, September 4th because of the Labor Day holiday. So the recommended action is to adopt the 2008 Board of Commissioners regular meeting dates as proposed with the amended dates above.
Commissioner Booth,
Move we approve them as presented.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Consideration of the approval of the North Carolina Soil and Water Conservation Stream Debris Removal Grant and Budget.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We're excited about a new grant opportunity that Mr. Jackson has worked with staff on, and he's going to give an update about that item this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We bring you a grant opportunity from the North Carolina Soil and Water Conservation Agency. And I do have to say, we do owe some thanks to our local Soil and Water Conservation Board for being advocates for us to the state on this. This grant will consist of $1,219,408 for stream debris removal related to Hurricane Matthew. A match of $5,000 consisting of cash or in kind is required. These funds will be used to clear debris from predetermined portions of the active channels of the South River, Sandy Creek, and Locks Creek. Previously received funds from the Golden Leaf Foundation will be used to address debris removal in the Rockfish and Little Rockfish rivers. At this point, funding for these projects is only for dragging debris out of the stream or river channel and not removal from embankments. The purpose is strictly to clear debris from active river channels. If additional funding is available in the future, it may be possible to apply for grant money to remove debris from embankments. At this point, staff recommends approval of the corresponding budget ordinance amendment B181270 in the amount of $1,219,408 to recognize stream debris removal grant award funds and the $5,000 match, and approval for the county manager to execute contracts and other paperwork associated with the grant. This item is being presented to the full board and has not been to committee due to meeting timing and need to obtain proper approval.
Commissioner Keith.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. I guess my first question is, can we get two? Because at a $5,000 match, that's a good
In
return.
kind, too.
Yes, sir.
I know our fellow governing body at the city has, they have a lot of issues too with stormwater and Hurricane Matthew when it came through. And this is with help with the soil and water conservation. Most of these are in the unincorporated areas or outside the city. Do they have these same opportunities to apply for these grants also?
I'm not sure about the soil and water conservation grant. I know that it was made available to local governments, just as we were able to apply for these. From what I understand, they were able to get Golden Leaf funds to help address some of their needs.
Separately from the Golden Leaf
Separately.
we had?
Right. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Because
Yes,
as a board up here, we represent the entire county, and I know that they had some issues. I just wanted to make sure that we work with them, or at least there's some partnership in there with helping out with some of their.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I can say that we have been in communication with them, at least from an emergency management point of view, so we kind of know where that break point is. So we understand their needs and where our responsibilities begin and how we're going to proceed outward in the unincorporated areas to try to address these issues. And then they have somewhat different issues in the city, of course, with stormwater and,
They do.
and infrastructure and that type of thing.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Yes, sir.
Didn't Hope Mills get some Golden Leaf funds?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
They
I
got
believe they
some.
received $500,000 as well.
Right. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Do I need to read it? Do I need
I
to
think
read
it's incorporated as to what Mr. Jackson.
But motion to approve a budget ordinance amendment of B 181270 in the amount of $1,219,408 to recognize stream debris removal grant award funds and approval of a $5,000 match, and for the county manager to execute contracts and other paperwork associated with the grant.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Are you
Thank
still
you.
up here with me?
Thank you.
Go to the county manager, consideration of approval of the FY18 Parks and Recreation projects.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, this is an item that was presented to the Facilities Committee, I believe, back in the spring, and Mr. Jackson and his staff have actually reached out to each town and municipality to reaffirm the projects that for their individual units. So Mr. Jackson's going to present this item.
Yes, thank you. So as the county manager mentioned, Jeffrey Brown and I, in cooperation with Michael Gibson at Parks and Rec, were able to meet with the towns on an individual basis, so their mayors and their staff, to re-verify the previously presented projects. And there were some changes, and attached to the memo is an individual list of the different projects for each of the towns, and also for some miscellaneous recreation center projects such as Gray Creek Community Park, Pine Forest Middle School, the gym air conditioning, and the Gilmore Therapeutic Recreation Center. I can go through those if you like. Some of those have changed. I will say that the total amount is $2,173,459, along with another already budgeted FY18 amount of $534,574. The total requested need is $2,708,033 for all of these proposed projects. And again, due to the timing, we're bringing this to you at the full board, and it has not been to committee, and we're seeking your approval. If you decide to approve this, there is a corresponding budget ordinance amendment B 180007 in the amount of $2,173,459, and that'll help us to approve these proposed FY18 projects and get those moving forward for the towns and the different community centers.
And these come out of the fund balance of the Parks and Rec and not out of our general funding. Is that
Right.
correct? About the
Right.
fund balance that's in the Parks and Rec. Commissioner Booth.
There was one that we did discuss at the meeting the other day, something about Parks and Rec money. And my only question is it says it went and spoke to people in the small towns and cooperated with their request. Who did we speak to? Who did we meet with?
Right, the mayors.
Mayors?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Is
And
it
then
just
they-
the mayors, or is it a board meeting, or is it?
No, sir. It was the mayor, the clerk, and some of the smaller towns, their staff. I mean, it varied depending on who was available, but typically it was the mayor. And some of those folks decided to take those back to their boards for approval.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Keefe.
I got a couple things. So what we have is the request from Michael, and then the request from all the towns that we're talking about.
Right, so the request from
Michael, Mr. Gibson.
Mr. Gibson came to us. We went back out to the towns, verified those requests, and then made adjustments as necessary. Since some time had passed and there were different levels of interest, one of the things that had been brought up in the past was the possibility of having splash pads. There was some interest because the city had started that project, and some of the smaller towns, saw some value in that and had some interest expressed from folks in their communities about having splash pads. So that was something that was brought forward as an opportunity after the presentation that had kind of been acted on. It was an idea when it was presented to you, but then that grew over time as we were out meeting with the towns.
Yeah, well, I noticed everyone has requested a splash pad now.
Yes, sir. They have.
So-
Everybody wants one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, on the one from Mr. Gibson, Commissioner Faircloth and Boos, they certainly were probably at Pine Forest Middle School, that same building, out there, and we're putting $120,000 into an air-conditioned system out there. And Mr. Kinlaw was just up here talking about the costs associated with and all those. Well, I happen to know that school is, how old, Mr. Faircloth? Yeah, about 60 years old, and somebody obviously felt like they needed air conditioning now, but
Yeah.
Mr. Kinlaw should know that his bills are getting ready to go up at that school substantially. Grace Creek Community Park. Since all this came about, we have some water issues. Don't we? Don't we have some water issues out there in that area?
We do.
There is, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it really smart to invest in a property without making sure that we have all that taken care of first is the question.
Right. Well, I would tell you that going into this, that was a location that there was a great deal of interest expressed in terms of having a park. I think that's one of those questions you have to discuss as you move forward. But there have been no discussions in terms of what's happening out there and where it's going, other than there is interest in having a park there.
I totally see where there's interest in having a park, but if you were to ask the community if you were interested in having a park with the possibility of contaminated water in that park, I think that it would probably be less.
Well, I understand that, sir, but again, we're not advocating not to move forward. Just the question has been asked, the project's been proposed, and it's on the table.
And I think that where we are, and I think it's a legitimate question, I think when we were doing this, that hadn't arisen yet.
Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
and so I
It had
think
not.
that appropriating the money doesn't mean that they can't relook at the area that it goes. Doesn't necessarily need to go, it may or may not go in it, but I think it's a legitimate concern that we put on the table as they move forward to be able to do that. I think this allocates the funds to be able to
Right.
put that park out there, but I think that is truly a legitimate concern. I think that nobody had that on the radar when they were
Absolutely
doing
not.
that, so.
And that
yeah.
may be worth
So-
expressing to the Parks and
Right.
Recs
And to the
Advisory
residents.
Committee, so that they're aware of that.
I don't think anybody would think that it's a good idea to go ahead and invest that much money if you also have to get public water all the way out there, and that's not included in the equation. And again, I agree. Nobody knew about
Right.
this when this came up a year ago, but we do now.
Right.
So we should at least address it as it goes through. That's all the question.
Commissioner Fairclough?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a question. Do any, I mean, I notice all these town mayors are signing off on everything. Is there any of the local town money involved in any of these projects?
Not to my knowledge. I
Okay,
mean,
so-
these are strictly coming from plans that were discussed with our Parks and Rec advisory folks and between the towns and Michael Gibson and the county.
Okay, so this is strictly county funds that we're looking at here.
Well, these are tax dollars. I think it's taxes for the
district.
Parks and Rec districts.
Tax
So this
district
is, they've
funds.
already been collected through the tax that has already been
And
instituted.
are collected in
I understand
those
that.
areas.
I'm understanding that, but there's no town ad valorem tax involved, no matching town money, right? We're not wrong.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, strictly county recreation tax.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
that's what I want to know. I just remember that, one of the town, I know we finished a project, there was no town money in it, it was strictly this same tax. And then when it came time to celebrate, it was the town celebration. You know, I don't even know if the commission was even invited, but they got in front of the money real quick, you know. Everybody had the impression that it was them.
Okay.
And I don't know that we got the credit, so I just want to make sure somewhere along the line, it's documented that this is a county project. Even
Right.
though it's in a town signing off on it, it's a county project.
Right.
That's just
Okay.
my comment.
Well, and I think Commissioner Fairclough, I think as you talk about that, I think it's, as these projects are done, the county seal ought to be somewhere near those projects. So I agree with you. So, I mean, I don't know if that adds anything to it, but I think that shows some of that. So I kind of agree with you. Commissioner Keefe?
I'm going on second. I don't know, if Commissioner Evans, did you want to?
Oh, I don't know. I just saw the button.
Do you want to speak? Because I'm going on second, if you haven't spoke yet.
No, I just gonna make a motion.
Okay, last thing I had, is I was going through this and they were asking about county money. All these additional 200,000 doesn't look like it's coming out of available funds. Are those over and above available funds?
No, sir. Those were projects that there was some level of interest in, but the towns hadn't fully committed to. So this will be coming from the district funds.
Okay, according to the sheets here, if I'm reading this right, they are over and above the available funds, though, that are there. For instance, there's one that says the available funds are 215,000 plus a splash pad for 200,000. That's 415,000.
Well, the way they wrote those up, they added the splash pads at the bottom, and we have figured in that amount for the splash pads in the total budget.
Commissioner Keefe, I think what happened is they had that, they didn't change the top, and then I think they added in those, but the money's there to be able to do that.
Yes.
I guess that's what Commissioner Keefe.
Yes.
It's not additional money coming from anywhere else.
There
It's
is no
actually-
additional fund balance money coming out of any
Well-
other money. This is all Parks and Rec money.
It's all Parks and
All
Rec, sir.
Parks
And
and
it looks to be evenly distributed pretty much by the towns.
Yes, sir, we've tried to make sure that
Okay.
it's fair and consistent.
And I will say too, and having the opportunity to go out and meet with the folks from the towns and go see the individual parks, they take a lot of pride in their parks, and they're very happy to be able to receive funding to move forward with these types of projects and improve the quality of life in their communities.
I would say that at the Mayor's Coalition, I think that, I was there Friday, and those mayors were extremely pleased and grateful for the county for doing these projects. I think they expressed that by a number of them. So Commissioner Evans?
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I'd like to present a motion of approval of the corresponding budget ordinance amendment number B180007 in the amount of $2,173,459 and approval of the proposed fiscal year 18 Parks and Recreation projects.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
All right. Go to nominations, the Cumberland County JCPC. It's up under 6A, and y'all should be able to get right there and hit it right down at the bottom. 6A.
Got it. I'd like to nominate Matthew Dixon and Maybelle Lorena.
Any other nominations? Cumberland County Workforce Development Board, that would be 6B. And each one of y'all can go down and take one of those. and get- Mr. Evans?
No.
Oh.
Sting for help.
Oh,
Okay, Alberio Flores and Diana Potts.
and then you just hit it down at the bottom, right? Okay. All right, any other nominations? Farm Advisory Board, that would be 6C.
How about Ryan Kennedy, Tracy Gardner, Kevin West?
Any other nominations? Favorite Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
I'd like to nominate Terry Thomas.
Well, I thought you wanted her for 6D,
Wait.
G.
Well, I got her for TDA, I'm sorry.
Right, this is 6D. This is, has
Oh, I'm
to be a
sorry.
hotel representative and Sharice.
I got it mixed up. Sharish Patel.
Okay. Mr. Keefe,
That was it.
okay.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I looked down. Human Relations Commission, Commissioner Fairclough.
Thank you. I'd like to nominate Mr. Mark Kendrick.
Senior Citizens Advisory Commission. And I think we've got one that's eligible for reappointment.
Sandra Sato is eligible for reappointment. Carrie Berg is eligible, all three of them are eligible
Right,
for reappointment. Carrie Berg and Patricia Fairley.
All right. Tourism Development Board, Commissioner Council,
Terry Thomas.
Commissioner Keefe.
Mr. Buzz Lloyd.
Any other announcement? That will take care of the nominations go to,
Mr. Chairman,
Oh,
if
I'm
I
sorry.
may,
thank you, Mr.
take the
Lancaster.
board back to
I need to be a little bit more inclusive here.
6D. There are actually 7 vacancies, and we had 3
I
nominations.
think I
6D.
stopped at Kevin West. For the Natural Resource Conservation, it'll be Clifton McNeil Jr.
Yeah.
Farm Bureau will be Joe Gillis. For the Planning Board Representative will be Stan Crumpler. And our dear friend Lisa Childers, who does a great job for the Cooperative Extension Service Representative. I believe that's all of them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, for keeping us in line. Commissioner Evans, appointment of the chairperson for the Tourism Development Authority.
Mr. Chair, I move to appoint Vivek Tandon as chairperson of the Tourism Development Authority.
Second.
All right, it's been moved in second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
And the Transportation Advisory Board, Mr. Evans.
On that particular board, we have 3 nominees for the Transportation Authority, and I move that we select the 3 for the respective positions. And the
Second.
3 names I do not have with me.
Second.
Sharon Batten, Tracy Honeycutt, and Dana Davis.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Before we go, take a motion to go into closed session. Let me take this opportunity, I think, to thank the Public Information Office and the technology, because I know people at home probably wondering why individuals keep running up here to the commissioners. We went to a very new system, the Nova system. We're all trying to get used to it. We're all trying to get to that, and so that's why we had a little bit of confusion on that. I think if the commissioners will look around, you'll see this room's been painted. We've got new screens, other things are being done, new cameras that allow it to be seen. I would thank, Sally's not here because she's at her meeting at UNC, but we want to thank her and the PIO office, they're here for your work and your efforts on doing that. If you go outside, you'll see in the lobby, on the first floor, you'll see the screens that are going to be projecting, and there are screens down in the basement that we'll be projecting. All of that was kind of done in the Facilities Committee, but to know that the county is working and continuing to be able to move that. One of the last things, and I'm glad you're here because we probably want to take a picture. That's everybody. That's not just me. But when you come in on the very first floor of the courthouse, our missing man table is right outside the clerk's office. And I think that in this day and age, in terms of what we know about the military and what they do in this community, we always want to be supportive of those efforts. So Commissioner Booth, You can crop him out the picture just a little bit. He doesn't like those pictures. But after we finish, before all of y'all go run to your respective corners, if you would just try to meet us out there to be able to do that. Madam Manager.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to recognize our Information Services Department has been intimately involved in replacing all the technology so that the view on TV at home is much clearer and crisper. So they've been involved. I also want to recognize our maintenance staff who actually did the painting and the cleaning in this room and also in 119. So thank you for that.
Anybody got any other questions or comments? If not, I'll take a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go into closed session pursuant to NC General Statute 143, 31811A3.
Second.
One moment. Madam Manager, can I speak with you? All right, got you. All right. It's been, you've heard the motion, it's been a second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
All right, we'll go into closed session.